Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our final spring career quest session. My name is Hank. I am an employer engagement manager here in our career and professional development office at WGU. And we are excited for you to be joining us today for our session exploring a future with Comcast. Whether you're new to the industry or have 10 years of experience, you'll have a chance to learn about Comcast and amazing career opportunities available. Again, this session will be recorded and you will receive a copy of that set of this session. Now, without further ado, I would like to pass the mic to Tasi and the Comcast recruiting team.
Hey, thanks, Hank. Did everybody hear me? Yay? All
Yes.
right, awesome. Welcome, everyone. My name is Tasi, and I'm a project manager on our military and veteran affairs team here at Comcast. A little bit about me. I retired from the Army in 2022 after serving 23 years as a field artillery surveyor uh, and an Army recruiter. I made my way to Comcast through the Hiring Our Heroes Corporate Fellowship Program, and I've been with the company for 3 years. Anna?
Thanks, Topsy. Hi, everyone. My name is Anna Welsher. I've been with Comcast 6 years. I've always been in talent acquisition, and I right now manage a team that supports our technology division within the company, technology and product. So excited to be here, excited to talk to everyone. Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Jo Singh. I am a senior technical recruiter here at Comcast. I also work with the technology and product team with Anna. Anna is my manager. I've been here for about 4 years now. Just, talking to candidates like yourselves and presenting roles, open roles that we have. So I'm very excited to be here and talk to folks like you guys, and hopefully we can align you with some of the open roles that we have.
Awesome. Thank you, Anna and Joe. So I'll go over our company overview just to get a little bit of history about us. Over the years, our company has made an incredible impact on the media and entertainment industries. From our beginnings as a single system cable operator, our company has grown to be a global leader in media, entertainment, and technology, driven by an entrepreneurial spirit to connect people to the moments that matter. Our founder, Ralph Roberts, purchased American Cable Systems in Tupelo, Mississippi in 1963. Ralph Roberts is also a Navy veteran, and he worked in the naval shipyards here in Philadelphia during World War II. The company was renamed to Comcast Corporation when it moved to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in 1969. The majority of Comcast's major growth occurred in the 80s and 90s through various acquisitions and became the largest cable company in the United States in 2002 after purchasing AT&T Broadband. Comcast diversified its portfolio by acquiring NBC Universal in 2011, giving Comcast control over content creation and distribution. We have approximately 168,000 employees across the enterprise. That's to include Comcast, NBC Universal, and Sky, with almost 55,000 being service members, veterans, and military spouses. Since 2015, we have hired over 21,000 service members, veterans, and military spouses. Here at Comcast, we have 9 ERG groups ranging from Black and Asian Pacific employee networks to young professionals and out networks, with over 7,000 members in our veteran network group, our VetNet. Our company is very diverse. We have products, people, services, and locations. We are more than just a cable company. NBC, we have media and our streaming services, Peacock, theme parks, Orlando, LA. We have in Vegas, opening up in in Texas. And then we have Japan, China, and opening up in the UK. All right. And then not to mention Universal Studios with all the movies. And also we own Philadelphia Flyers. All right. So media, technology, and entertainment, that's basically what we do here. Joe?
Thank you, Tassie. I'll go over a little bit about the overview of Comcast and some of our business groups. So as you know, Comcast is a leader in providing innovative technology and product solutions through its various organizations, including the Global Technology Organization, which is also known as GTO, Global Product Organization, Wireless Technologies and New Business, Comcast Network and Connectivity, which was called Connect, Comcast Cybersecurity, CSS, and Comcast Technology Solutions, which is called CTS. The company focuses on enhancing the customer experience with initiatives in reliability experience, global product operations, and technology and product strategy and planning. Key areas of operation include wireless technologies and new business, Comcast Network and Connectivity, Comcast Cybersecurity and Comcast Technology Solutions, Comcast Cybersecurity and Technology Solutions. By leveraging advanced tools and technologies such as AI, machine learning, Python, AWS, SQL, and microservices, to name a few tools and technologies used in some of our roles, Comcast also ensures robust and scalable solutions for its customers. The product and technology team at Comcast is dedicated to designing, developing, and supporting innovative products and services that deliver internet, TV, and voice to over 33 million residential and business customers. This diverse and engaged team consists of leaders, software engineers, data scientists, security engineers, and many others who collaborate to maintain high network speed and reliability. They also manage mission-critical systems that monitor the network and its cloud infrastructure, ensuring that customers remain connected to what matters the most. Thank you.
So obviously that was a lot of acronyms, right? So Comcast has a ton of acronyms for different parts of the organization. Joe and I support the talent team that supports the overall technology and product teams, all of the ones that Joe just mentioned. So we recruit where our team is really externally facing. We are really focused on the external market and attracting people to Comcast that are not necessarily already with the company. So, I mean, does anyone have just any general questions about anything related to recruitment, to Comcast, to interviewing, to resumes? I mean, we are certainly here to help and answer anything that might be relevant to you all in your, your journey as you approach graduation and your next steps.
While we're waiting for some questions to come into the chat, feel free to use the raise your hand function. If you do have a question, I can take you off mute at that time. Just to start us off, what advice would you give someone looking to transition into the IT field who doesn't have a lot of experience? Are there any soft skills that you guys look for when recruiting, or any technical skills that will offset that process for them?
Yes, of course. Great question. I would say someone that's transitioning into the technology realm, a great to start off, like a great area to start is like familiarizing yourself with some of the tooling and technology that's being used in today's world. Choose a programming language that you're comfortable with. Most of our roles require some Java experience, some Python experience, SQL experience. So starting off with choosing a programming language, and then also what realm that interests you. Like, are you into like cybersecurity or machine learning or development, or do you like coding? So it's nice to kind of like dabble in some of the get some IT experience in. And then LinkedIn also has great programs as well that you can start off with, like getting certified in, and then some boot camps as well that will help. And then start off slow, maybe joining a startup that's looking for interns, or someone with zero experience to like maybe up to like a year or two, and then being mentored in small companies. resumes, and that will really definitely help you in the transition to the technology world.
Yeah, I think, we have a principal researcher on our team, and she really is focused on different market trends from the labor market. And some of her recent research has really been focused on how the market is changing, right? And we are really moving from only looking for very specific technical skills to starting to really marry technical aptitude with intangible, communication skills and soft skills that weren't necessarily as in high demand as before. So 5 years ago, we might have been looking for an engineer, like Joe said, with Java, and didn't necessarily matter that, they might not be a good communicator, or, we're very focused on tech stacks and the technology skill involved. But I think lately the market is shifting to also really focus on some of those soft skills that are equally as important. And so I think what's happening in today's market is that we might be looking for an engineer, but that person also needs to be able to come with really good communication skill, ability to manage multiple stakeholders. So a lot of those soft skills are sometimes outweighing in the interview process some of the more technical skills that people come on paper with right out of school.
Joe
That's
and
a
Anna,
great.
a question on the chat from Lisa Cantrell about resumes. For someone that changed careers into tech, do you like the resume to keep information on previous, less related technology roles, or do you prefer the resume be more focused on directly related experience?
Yeah, great question. Yeah. Mainly what we like to review, or like from my experience, is like it's nice to see experience directly related to the role that you're applying to. So if you're looking at the job description and it requires AWS or Java or Jira or SQL, it's nice to see those skills on your resume. And then we can definitely discuss prior experience that's unrelated during a screening call. But when you're looking at job descriptions and they ask for certain tooling and experience, it's nice to see those on the resumes as well.
Okay, and another question from Wynn. What's something candidates often overlook when applying to Comcast that you wish they knew?
Having a great personality and communication skills. It's nice to always talk about the requirements and the tooling and technology that's that we're looking for, but like having a great conversation with a candidate really helps the personalization of the experience that they're going to have. So if I have a great conversation with a candidate and they're really good at communicating, we can definitely if the role doesn't align with what they're looking for, I would love to build a relationship with somebody that is more personable, that I can keep a relationship with and align them to future roles. But when it comes to if someone's just there to align with a certain role and their communications are skills are lacking and interpersonal communication skills are lacking, then it's hard to kind of remember them. When you are able to communicate well, it's nice to go back to oh, I spoke to this candidate and we had a great conversation. If they didn't align with that role, but I'm sure I can see if there's anything else out there for them.
I think also with Comcast, it's so easy to feel like in a lot of times your application just gets lost in this shuffle of 168,000 people that work at this organization. And our talent teams really try to do a diligent job of reviewing every single application and making a determination as to whether or not that person is qualified, right? But Joe talked a little bit about this, but our team specifically also focuses a lot on pipelining for all different kinds of roles. So even if you apply to one position and think that it's a great fit and then don't end up moving forward, that communication skill and that ability to build relationships, whether with the recruiter or the business, really helps you stay, fresh in our minds for other opportunities that might be a fit. So I think that relationship building and communication skill and just ability to really tell your story in a cohesive way and outline your skills and what you bring to the table is probably the most important to making a lasting impression for future roles, right? That we have a ton of roles open. We hire all the time in all different facets of technology, but outside of technology, almost everything at a big company like this. So, just because you don't necessarily move forward for one role doesn't mean that you might not be thought of for another.
All right. Christina M is asking, is a portfolio required?
I think it depends on what kind of job you're applying for. For a lot of the design roles, for example, like we have hired UI, UX roles, those are obviously going to require a portfolio of your work, but that might not be the case for an engineer coming fresh out of school.
Yeah, it's definitely a nice to have, especially if you want to leverage your candidacy a little bit, and something that we don't have to go back and forth with. Like if there is some projects that you worked on, and then you have links to that, it's nice to have those handily available to present to a hiring manager, opposed to them asking questions and us getting back to you and then you sending that over. It's nice to have readily available. Definitely doesn't hurt.
For sure.
Victoria, are there specific technical skills or certifications you'd recommend someone to build to stand out in IT or product management?
Yeah, absolutely. Building on your AWS tooling experience it's awesome. It's nice to have. We definitely look for that in your experience and resumes and present that to hiring managers, product managers and project managers. It's nice to have your certifications, your PMP, your PSP, and other certifications. That just kind of shows that you are continuing your education and you are taking your role fairly seriously as well in the long term. So being certified definitely also does help and helps leverage your candidacy.
Okay. Jared, do soft skills from past management leadership roles help when transitioning into cybersecurity field, or are they better suited for senior level resumes?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question again? I didn't understand.
Do soft skills from past management or leadership roles help when transitioning into cybersecurity field?
Yeah, absolutely. I think any type of soft skill will transfer over as long as you have the correct technical experience. So soft skills, whether it's managing people or being in a space of leadership, definitely will help in your candidacy. But you have to remember that the experience is what really matters the most, and then how well your interview will go. And so as far as like interpersonal communication skills and presenting your story and experience.
Okay. Prudence has a very pointed question. Many companies have ceased investing in candidates or individuals lacking experience, while simultaneously demanding numerous skills and advanced knowledge, even for basic roles. Where does Comcast position itself in this regard?
It's a great question. I think that for Comcast specifically, we do have a couple different earlier career programs that have really tried to help hone in on getting those skills if you don't necessarily come with them. To your point about, lacking that experience while wanting all of this advanced knowledge, like it's just that rock and a hard place problem, right? So I think Comcast itself has a couple different core technology programs and core finance programs, internships and co-ops that have really tried to position students that are still in school in a way that's cohesive and you're able to be marketable coming right out of school when you don't necessarily have that professional experience under your belt. But I wouldn't say that's the case for a mid-level role where, you know, we are going to require some previous experience in the discipline that we're looking to hire. But I think from an earlier career perspective, getting that experience is really helpful with, I mean, not just at Comcast, obviously, but with an internship or a co-op or something that is going to be able to bring to the table just some sort of working experience, even though outside of that, you might not have the professional experience to go with it. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. From Silmond, what technologies or frameworks are commonly used in Comcast's cybersecurity and software development teams?
Good question. So some frameworks like Spring Boot, we have IAM experience, access management, you know, JavaScript and Python are very important. SQL, some of those ones are very important, and a lot of those I see in most of the senior level roles that we are recruiting for now.
Was this answered, Prudence? What are these earlier programs?
Yes, she mentioned an internship and some other program as well. So,
Okay.
Yeah, I think, I mean, to like just be more specific, I think at Comcast, if that's what you were asking about, we have different internship programs and co-op programs that are usually partnerships with universities. And then we have something that's called it's a rotational program that encompasses 2 years of your time and is with Comcast specifically. There is a finance one and also a technology one.
it'll be great if you can send us the link. Now, some of us might willing to participate in those program.
Yeah, we can yeah, I can get that over to the group.
All right. Nayan? Yep. It's often said that hiring managers spent only about 6 seconds reviewing a resume. In that short time, what exactly are they looking for, and what qualities distinguish a successful candidate, especially in an AI development and software engineering fields? Also, what are some effective strategies for optimizing a resume to get past applicant tracking systems and reach the stage where a human can evaluate it?
Great question. I might have to ask you to repeat the second part because I'm going to try to thoroughly answer the first part. In order for your resume to stand out, that's why we have these screening calls and great conversations initially, so we can also be able to tell your story and experience to the hiring managers. So when they are reviewing resumes here at Comcast, the recruiters work diligently to be able to send over their screening notes, mainly aligning your experience with the role and also the logistics of the role, so that, like, you know, we have all the information we need that the hiring manager may ask questions about. So that's why we have these screening calls, to make sure that you know, we can get ahead of like hiring manager questions. So yes, the hiring manager will be reviewing your application, but along with your resume and application, they'll be looking at the conversation that we had as well. So we try to have a very thorough conversation in the screening calls, so we can be able to present your profile diligently. I'm sorry, Tasi, what was the second part of the question?
Yep.
And what-
Second piece was, what are some effective strategies for optimizing a resume to get past the ATS?
So our ATS doesn't really push back any resume. They're all reviewed by recruiters here. So in order for your resume to be, you know, moved to the next level, always make sure that you're aligning it with a job description. So if there's requirements in certain tooling and technology and experience, make sure that, you know, it is shown in the resume. And so that way, when we are reviewing these resumes, we know that you use a certain tool and have a certain amount of years of experience. And that's what we're looking for, especially in areas that are, you know, in telecommunications and areas that we are working on in today's market as well. So we do not rely on an ATS to be sending us resumes that align with roles. We are individually looking at your resumes and presenting them to the hiring managers.
Okay. Do you see, this is from Irene, do you see 6 months cybersecurity boot camp as 6 months job experience in cybersecurity?
When I look at a cybersecurity, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jeff.
For my experience from boot camp is nice to have. It's definitely a foot in the door. But with senior level roles, if we do see boot camp, it definitely doesn't pertain to having experience in necessarily. We are looking for that direct work experience, usually in the same technology and same realm. But it's definitely nice to have, especially if you're trying to get your foot in the door and starting off with like 1 to 2 years of experience.
Oh, I would like to add a question to that. Does personal experience count? Let's say like someone uh, helps out with like their kid's YouTube channel.
I mean, I think in that case, the boot camp or 6 months of a boot camp is probably more applicable to an entry level role versus like a personal experience. But you know, any experience that can be somehow transferable to what's listed in the job description or what might be most important in terms of requirements for a role can certainly be taken into consideration. I think for the boot camp thing too, for a specific boot camp in cybersecurity, it really just depends how much previous experience you might have in cybersecurity prior to that boot camp. If you're coming from like, let's say you've done, I don't know, office work your whole life as an administrative assistant, that boot camp might weigh a lot more heavily than if you came from a place where you handled a lot of different cybersecurity technology in the past. So I think it is all very dependent on your own candidacy. But generally speaking, at Comcast, you know, that can certainly help an application. I wouldn't say it would be the only driving factor though.
Sometimes what happens is people have some gaps in their resumes and they decide to take a boot camp or decide to do like side projects that will give your resume some leverage as well. So it's definitely a plus. It's never hinders your resume, definitely helps it.
Okay. Nathan, what are the typical roles at Comcast that are considered no experience, little experience required? Is there a filter available to narrow our search? And the last question, how do we find these roles when it's time to apply?
Yeah, I dropped the career site in the chat earlier in the conversation. Most of our roles at a professional one are really what we would consider our entry level, little to no experience required, very generally speaking. So engineer one, analyst one, you know, a lot of those entry level roles are labeled as such, but mainly professional level one, sometimes level two. So I think in terms of like filtering on the site itself, you probably could literally type in like analyst one and see what comes up, but those would all be more in the vein of someone who wouldn't not necessarily need any experience to be able to join.
Yeah, generally most of the job descriptions will have the years of experience required. So that's nice to look for.
Yeah, good.
Derek is asking, in cybersecurity, the list of tools, skills, platforms can bog down the resume and make it seem like word salad. Do you see it more valuable to highlight specific skills or listing specific tools that you have experience in?
I would say both. I understand that there are resumes that are heavily listed with like a lot of tools and technologies that will kind of like, look like a jumble of words. But it's nice to see specific tooling and technology listed that you do have experience, that you don't want to leave out your experience in something. I'd rather have a conversation. If I personally, I would rather have a conversation with you to discuss your experience because I saw that you have listed certain technology, rather than me guessing that you might have experience with like SailPoint Identity IQ, which is a big one that people might not list just because they'll say they have access management experience. So it's nice. I mean, some resumes do get extensively like word salady, but it's better to be listing your experience and then letting the recruiter reach out to you and then getting more clarity than not listing it and then your resume isn't reviewed because we may think that you may not have you didn't list the tools or the experience that was required.
I think it also depends on what kind of job you're applying for, right? Like, I think a lot of times what's really helpful is if someone takes the time to cater their skill set to what is listed on the job description. So if the job description lists 5 technologies and you have experience in all 5 of those technologies, I would certainly suggest that you put those at the top of your resume versus some of the other specific skills that you might have on there that could be parsed out.
Mm.
If you make your resume as you don't have to make 17 different resumes, but if you have a few that are really going to capture and encapsulate different types of experiences that you have and you're applying to roles that are asking for that exact experience, that's when a recruiter says, okay, I can see on paper that they have these things and we're looking for these things and it might be a match.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. Victoria, how does Comcast view candidates with gaps in their resume, such as caregiving education? And what's the best way to address those gaps during the application or interview process?
How do we view them? So basically, we are looking for experience that aligns with the requisition. But definitely, if there's like solid experience and that we're looking for, we would love to just open it up to a conversation and let you explain during the screening call, and that way we can tell your story on your behalf when we're submitting your application in front of the hiring manager. It's not always necessarily just because you have gaps or like you haven't had a role in about like 6 months that you're not going to get an interview. As long as we can have a conversation that aligns with what we're looking for, and we can tell that story on your behalf. Usually, like, we'd like to hear that you did try to like do a side gig, or you did try to like or you did try to like continue your search and continue to brush up your skill sets. That's definitely always a plus. But it generally doesn't hinder us trying to have that conversation with you, as long as experience aligns.
Yeah, I think also especially with what was mentioned in the chat, if you have a gap on your resume from caregiving or being a stay-at-home parent or for educational purposes, it's also helpful to just list that almost as a line item on your resume, especially if it's a significant gap, because at least it addresses, that lapse in time and isn't left for us to guess, what you might have been doing in that allotted amount of time. So I think the more forthcoming that you are, especially on your resume and then at the application and interview process, is super helpful for us to get an idea of where that time was spent.
Okay. When does your team give priority to candidates who are currently located near the job site, or over those who are out of state but fully willing to relocate?
Great question. I would say yes, that's usually where we start our searches. So when we are looking for like candidates that are, most of our roles will be like the roles that I'm working on will be in Philly, but we'll start our searches there, see what we can, align with the role. But definitely, looking for experience. So if we have screening questions listed in the application and I say candidate that's willing to relocate to the area as well, those resumes will be reviewed. But generally, if it's easier for recruiters to gravitate towards candidates who are in the general area at first, depending on what type of applicants that we are getting for those roles.
Yeah, I think generally speaking, Comcast has definitely positioned ourselves as an in-office, in-person company. So we have a lot of our roles based in Philadelphia with a 4-day in-office requirement. We also have a big presence in Colorado, but same requirement applies 4 days a week. We have a smaller percentage of roles that are really fully remote. And then to Joe's point, certainly are open to folks who are willing to relocate to those tech hubs and where a lot of our roles are located. But I would say Philly and Colorado are pretty prominent right now for Comcast open positions. We are really back in office full time.
Okay. Silmon, if my previous work experience isn't related to computer science or cybersecurity, should I focus more on the tools, projects, and coursework I've completed in my online school or personal projects rather than listing my past jobs on my resume?
Yes, so I would actually focus on the projects that you've worked on that aligns directly with the role. So going back to just your experience with the role that you're applying to, your experience that aligns with the role that you're applying to directly, and listing the tooling and technology experience that you have. I think that's just the big thing there to get your resume reviewed, is just how well your experience, whether it's with projects or side gigs, as long as it aligns, it's a possibility that you will get your eyes on your resume and application.
Okay. Olu, do you encourage me putting the gap on my resume or discuss during an interview?
I think it depends on what the gap is, right? I mean, if we're talking like 6 months, it might just be something that you can discuss in the interview. If we're talking about 15 years, it's probably important to list that somewhere on your resume to address it head on and be able to even get to the point of speaking to a recruiter or speaking to someone from, from the company itself. But I think it really depends on your situation and what that gap, what you did during that gap or what that gap was for.
Okay. Victoria, do you have tips on effective ways to network and build industry connections while completing a degree online, especially with the traditional in-person college experience or without in-person college experience?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Tips on ways to build their network.
Oh, build network. Yeah. So Comcast has, we have quite a few events that run throughout the year as well, which are open to the public. They're generally on our website. And we also have, if you connect with a recruiter, they'll send out communication as well. But if you would like, if you see somebody on LinkedIn, you add them and they have, that you could always definitely connect with them via LinkedIn and start a conversation there, and, get kind of more insight in regards to future networking events or insights on roles that you applied to as well, and continue building that relationship.
Yeah, I think LinkedIn is a really good professional networking tool. I mean, as its tagline suggests. But LinkedIn itself also has a lot of different events that you can attend virtually to be able to meet people, especially in an industry that you might be interested in. And I think, for our team, most of my team is virtual, which contradicts what I just said a minute ago, but most of my team is virtual, and we ask each person to attend some sort of event per quarter. And that could be any event that they choose to research and network and go to that might be in their area. So Joe lives in Virginia. She recently attended a Women in Technology event. So I think there are a lot of different ways to be creative about how you're networking and being very targeted about, what kinds of groups you might be looking to get more involved with, especially if you're looking to develop in that sector of your career or that discipline, accordingly.
Okay. Nyan. It's well known that applying to LinkedIn roles within the first 24 hours can improve visibility before a position becomes oversaturated, or worse, turns out to be a ghost listing that was never truly open. Does Comcast follow a similar pattern in terms of application timing? You can answer that, and then the follow-on question.
I think so the other part of the question is, are roles actively monitored and updated? Should candidates be cautious of listings that remain open for an extended period of time? So like Joe said, our talent teams at Comcast review every single application. We don't have, AI helping us in the background. So we really are going through each individual application and making a determination as to whether or not a candidate is qualified. And that really is the case from the time that the job is posted. So within the first 24 hours, like you mentioned, to the time that the job is pulled down. We are responsible for reviewing every single application that comes through the process. So, sure, like if you are one of the first people to apply, your application by default gets reviewed sooner than someone else. But we have a ton of applications across all of our roles right now. We get upwards of sometimes 300 to 400 applications that our recruiters are individually reviewing. So I think that as long as you really are staying up to date on types of roles that are being posted and that you're targeting the ones that make sense for you to apply to, at least at Comcast, your application is getting reviewed in the order that it was received.
Yeah, and also to piggyback off of that, we try to do our due diligence as well. Like, it's not always going to be like we find one candidate and we think they're the best candidate and we're extending an offer. We will try to build a pipeline for the hiring managers, and so they can review candidates in regards to finding the best possible candidate for their role. And and we try to leverage skill set and experience, and also how well they do during the interview. So it's not always like if you're like the first one to apply and they have the experience, the hiring managers are going to move forward with your candidacy. They might try to talk to a few folks to see like what's out there in the market and who would be the best possible candidate for their role as well. And right now I have certain roles that have 300 applicants, and then I have certain roles that only have probably like 3. So it really just depends on the roles itself and what the teams are looking for. But we are definitely going through the applications one by one and trying to align the best possible candidate to those roles.
Okay. Jared, what are your thoughts on listing Try Hack Me, Hack the Box, or similar accomplishments on a resume or LinkedIn? I hear mixed reviews as to whether or not it's accepted, but it could be someone's main source of practical experience starting out.
I haven't heard of that, actually. I have not heard of Try Hack Me and Hack the Box. I'm not sure what that is. I haven't actually seen it on a resume.
I'm not very familiar with that either.
Would you be able to explain, Jared?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
So basically, it's a website that you can go into, say, there's a pathway for a penetration tester, and they'll go in and they'll teach you Linux basics, and they'll teach you maybe SQL injection, and they'll open up a virtual machine within that website that you can go into, and they'll walk you through doing a SQL injection or doing a cross-site scripting attack. And they do penetration testing, they do red and blue teams, SOC analysts, they do a very wide range of practice assessments for people that are getting their feet wet with coding and terminal commands and practice for cybersecurity in general.
Okay, is it similar to like a boot camp, like just like a short stint of experience?
It's similar, but it's more self-paced. They
Okay.
do offer these challenge camps though, where they have one goal and everybody can sign up for it, and the first person to get there is the quote unquote winner. They also have their own certification programs that you can go into and get certified through them for those certain fields that they have on their websites.
From the sounds of it, as to how you explained it, I don't think it would hinder your application at all. I mean, as long as you're brushing up on your skills and you're using a program that you have access to, I don't think that it would, deny the hiring team would deny your application due to that. If that's the only thing, then that might be a little bit of a challenge. But as long as you have some professional experience, you have some tooling and technology experience, and then you're also doing something like this to like just brushing up your skills or add some more experience and skill sets to your resume, I don't think it would be hindering your resume. And if that is something that's brought up during a conversation with the hiring manager, it would, from my experience, I would probably touch base with you again and get more information. So it is something, if there's something on a resume that I don't understand, it's definitely brought up during a screening call, because then I'm going to have the same questions to answer from the hiring manager, but I don't think it would hinder your application at all.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
We don't have any current questions at the time. Joe, Anna, would you guys be able to speak on the recruiting process, from the beginning? So once they apply, what happens from there?
Absolutely. That's my forte. So, I mean, I can start from the very beginning. What happens is when we have a role that's posted, job requirements, job description, type of candidates that the hiring team is looking for, that's all discussed in the back end before a role is posted. So then we will post a role. Generally, we would love to post a role for 2 weeks to see what type of candidates we're getting. Are they hitting the mark as far as meeting the requirements listed in the job description? And then we'll go in and start reviewing candidates within a couple of days of that role posting. And then, we'll look for candidates that are in the general area. There are certain screening questions that are listed in the application that you'll need to also meet some requirements as far as like your compensation goes. We'll look at that. If your compensation requirement is within the range of the role that's posted, we'll definitely keep that in mind as well when looking at your application. Years of experience that's listed in the resume, the type of skill sets absolutely is the most important. Once we feel like the candidate has the experience and skill set that is aligned with the role, we'll then reach out to you and schedule some time to do a one-on-one, whether it's on Teams or a phone call, to do a general screening. During the screen, we'll talk about your experience, we'll talk about the requirements, we'll talk about the logistics of the role, and if everything aligns, and this is usually my spiel as well, and if everything aligns, we'll talk about what the next steps may look like. We work with the talent partner, our teams work with a talent partner who's doing most of the back end, so scheduling your interview, giving you more insight into what the process may look like. So once your resume is selected and we have a successful screening call, we will submit our notes as thorough as possible to the hiring team to review. Generally, we give them about 24 hours time to review a submittal with our screening notes, letting them know everything aligns, and this is the conversation that we had. And then once they approve and they're interested in speaking with you, then we'll reach out to get your availability and schedule the interview process. Senior level roles will have generally a longer interview process time. So if there's a role that's looking for like 8 to 10 plus years of experience. They may have an interview process that's more like about 4 rounds. Generally, junior level roles will be 1 to 2 rounds. Mid-level roles, 3 rounds. There's usually a hiring manager round where you have a one-on-one with the hiring manager. They'll go over the roles in more detail, and the role in more detail, talk about your experience, talk about some of the team dynamic, the tools they're working on, that sort of thing. And that gives you a general idea as to like, if this is something that you would want to do, like selling the role to you, like something that you want to do in the long term as well. So it's not always one-sided that we want a candidate, but also we want to make sure this is a role that aligns with what your long-term goals are as well. And we talk about that during the screening call as well. Once the first round is successful, the hiring managers generally will pass it on to a panel interview, which will have like 2 to 3 interviewers on a panel, about an hour long, that will be mostly discussing like your tooling and technology experience in more detail. Some will have coding exercises that are done live in the interview as well. And then, there might be 2 rounds of the tooling technology rounds. And then generally the last round, the final rounds, are for candidates that are shortlisted, maybe shortlisted for an offer, where their first 2 or 3 rounds were highly successful, and now they're just speaking with somebody that is from the senior leadership team, and that's just so that person can get like an idea of who the hiring team is slated to hire. And that's just the general process. We try to touch base with all our candidates throughout the process as well, answering questions, giving them more insight to what to expect. I, in my seat, will try to give an overview of this during the screening call, but also give you more insight as to what the interviews entail. So if what are the certain tools that they're going to be discussing? I would I try to prepare my candidates in that aspect, but generally that's what the process looks like.
Okay. Nyan, he's asking, what is Comcast's policy on applying to multiple roles?
Go for it. Please apply to multiple roles. You are more than welcome to apply to as many roles as possible. There is no conflict of interest. As long as your experience aligns and you're talking to somebody, we're happy for you. The only thing that we do ask during, if you do apply for a role and you're interviewing multiple roles, it just give us a heads up, because we might fight for you a little bit. So as long as we have okay, we understand that you're applying for another role, you're welcome to do that. As long as you just kind of give us a little bit of awareness, so then we can, that way we can also expedite interviews. So if you're a strong candidate, hiring teams really liking you, instead of doing 1 interview a week, we'll probably try to expedite it and do multiple interviews a week, so we can have a little bit of leverage. But as long as we are we are in communication in regards to your interviewing for other roles, there's no conflict of interest, and we definitely encourage that.
Okay. Chris is asking, how competitive is the annual pay for roles compared to the average, and can you negotiate?
Yeah, pretty competitive. We have market researchers that work on the compensation portion of all of our roles and all the skill sets that are required for our roles. Can you negotiate? Absolutely. There's no reason why you wouldn't. Nobody wants to leave money on the table, so there's always room for negotiation. There's, we will definitely have thorough conversations when we are extending an offer, and definitely go into more deeper conversations, letting you know where the market data presents itself as far as compensation goes, and where it aligns nationally, and where our budget comes from as far as the competitiveness of the market.
All right. So it looks like, Tasi, we have one more question. I want to be mindful of you guys' time. From Irene, do you place new hires on probation? If yes, how long?
I believe Anna is I'm not sure on that side, but is there I don't know if we're still doing that, but I think we have a 90-day probation period, or is that for internals?
I actually don't want to misspeak on that. I think it's 90 days as well, but we can confirm.
Yeah, we do have an internal process where if a internal is moving from one role to the other, they have to be in their seat for a little while or for a certain amount of time before they can start applying to new roles. I don't have the number. I don't have the exact dates on that as well, or exact time on that as well.
Yeah, for internal movement, you have to be in role 1 year.
Yeah.
All right, great. So it looks like we have about 2 minutes left. I wanted just to thank you guys and see if you guys had any other tidbits or tips that you would like to share with us before we let you guys go.
No, we really appreciate everyone being engaged through the chat and some really great questions coming out of this discussion. We can all drop our contact information in the chat as well. So if you would like to reach out after or have any other questions that weren't answered, please feel free.
Yeah, absolutely. And then feel free to add me on LinkedIn and send me a message. And if there is a specific role that you're interested in from our career page, please feel free to reach out to me and we can start that communication, start building that relationship as well. And if there's a role that aligns with your skill set, we can open that up to a general screening call or give and see if that's something we can explore.
Right, great. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining us today. Again, this session was recorded, so you will receive that recording here in the next 24 to 40 hours, along with links to Comcast careers page and positions that they currently have open. Take time if you would like to fill out our employer survey. And we would like to thank you everyone for joining us for our Spring Career Quest. And if you have the opportunity, go check out our YouTube page where we do have other sessions from the past Spring Career Quest that you can review. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everyone. Bye-bye.